Hi guys, Mr. Gill again. Here I'm looking at number 5 on section 2.7. So this is the distance equals rate times time problem that we didn't get to at the end of class. So let's read it here together real quick. Two planes leave an airport at the same time, one flying east and the other flying west. The eastbound plane travels 50 miles per hour faster than the westbound plane. They are 270 miles apart after half an hour. What are their rates? Okay, so we're looking for the rates in this case, which is the R value, right? So the idea here is, again, we start off at the same place. So I'm going to just draw kind of a little picture here so I make sure I understand what's going on. We have one plane that flies to the east, so that'll be this way. Okay. And it travels 50 miles per hour faster than the westbound plane. So let's draw our westbound plane. Okay. So we have one going to the west, and we have one going off to the east. Okay. The eastbound plane travels 50 miles per hour faster than the westbound plane. So what they're telling us is the rate of the eastbound plane here. Okay. So let's do R W. This is my rate for the westbound plane. For westbound. Okay. So now the eastbound plane travels 50 miles per hour faster than this. Okay, so my eastbound plane rate for east is going to be this same RW plus 50. Okay, they are 275 miles apart after 1/2 of an hour. Okay, so their total distance is 275 miles apart. Now if you look at the total distance, it's going to be the distance traveled by the westbound plane, okay, and it's going to be the distance traveled by the eastbound plane. Okay, distance west and distance east. So the total distance, if I look at it, right, it should just be whatever the distance of the westbound plane is plus whatever the distance of the eastbound plane is. And we find their distances by taking their rates times time, right? Now they told us the time for both of them. It's a half hour, right? So if I take both of these and add them together, I should get 275 total. So I'm going to set up an equation. I'm going to take 275, and that's going to be my total. Okay, so let's start with the westbound plane. Our rate for the westbound plane is R sub W. Now if you don't want to put this little R sub W on here, that's fine. If you just want to use X, again, that's totally okay. I just put W here so at the end I know, hey, the answer that I found is the rate of the westbound plane. Okay, so we're going to take the rate of the westbound plane times the amount of time, which again the time was 1/2 hour. So I'm going to multiply that by 1/2. Once again, this is my distance, right? This is my distance west plus my rate for the eastbound plane is that same thing, plus 50. So RW plus 50. Okay, and once again, the time is exactly the same. I'm going to put the 1/2 out front. You could put it on the other side, but I like putting the 1/2 out front because that makes it so I know I have to distribute this 1/2. Okay, so this is my distance east. Okay, and again, when we add those together, we get 275. So very much like a lot of the other problems, once we have this equation set up, now we can just solve it and things go pretty smoothly from here. Okay, so I'm going to add up 1/2. So let's rewrite this here. That's a bad line. So we get 1/2. Again, I'm just going to switch the order on this so it looks more like how we usually write it in algebra, 1/2 times RW. If I distribute this 1/2, right, we get plus 1/2 RW. And then I have to distribute this 1/2 to the 50, so 1/2 times 50, that's going to give me plus 25. Once again, if you think of 50 divided by 2 is 25, then multiplied by the numerator, 25 times 1 gives me 25, okay, equals 275. Now in class, when we have these fractions in an equation, a lot of times, remember, we would clear this denominator, and you can do that in this case. You can multiply both sides by 2, and that's going to make your numbers quite a bit bigger, but you can also notice that here, this is actually pretty easy to add with these two fractions, right? 1/2 plus 1/2, this makes this really, really nice. 1/2 plus 1/2 is just 1 RW, okay? So those two added together gives me 1 RW plus 25 equals 275, right? And once again, this equation is simplified down into something that we can solve pretty easily, okay? So then we subtract 25 from both sides. Minus 25, minus 25. Scrolling down a little bit. So this gives me 250 equals 1 RW. And again, if you recognize that 1 RW is the same thing as RW, you note that this is the solution to the equation, right? We could divide by 1, but again, that's going to give us the same thing. So once again, we need to realize what is my answer here. RW is 250, so if I scroll back up, right, the question is what are their rates? So we want both. So we have RW is the rate for the westbound plane. So the eastbound plane is RW plus 50. So I'm just going to take that RW plus 50. So I'm going to take 250 plus 50. And again, I just put the parentheses in here just so I know that's what I plugged in. You don't necessarily need the parentheses there in this case. So this is my east calculation. And that gives me 300. So once again, I want my answer in the form of a sentence. So the rate of the westbound plane is 250. Once again, I definitely need units in this instance, so it's 250 miles per hour. And the rate of the eastbound plane, let me enter in here, of the eastbound plane is 300 miles per hour. Okay, I'm just going to double check real quick that those are the right units. Miles per hour, which is exactly what we want. So we're good right here. The rate of the westbound plane is 250 miles per hour, and the rate of the eastbound plane is 300 miles per hour. Okay, if I zoom out, you can kind of see the whole thing here. One more, and kind of get a good look at what our work should look like. Okay, so again, once again, if you have any questions on these, please email me and let me know. And come see me during office hours on Monday. Good luck studying for your exam. I hope things go well.